Union Election 2022. My name is Timo and I am the chair of the Student Council, and I have the privilege today to be hosting the President's Debate. We have four of the five candidates present, and before we are starting, I briefly want to summarize and also make everyone aware what is happening. First of all, thank you for taking the time to be with us here today. I know with being remotely, it may be a bit of a challenge, so thank you for tuning in. This is going to be a live recording for the audiences in here. Every candidate was allowed to bring 2 supporters with them, and I'm happy to see that some have done so as well. Second of all, please can I ensure that everyone in this room has their phones either on flight mode or on silent mode as not to disturb the debate. Further, please do not clap, cheer or make any noises after the points have been made by one or all of the candidates. We will have a round of applause at the very end. So, without further ado, we are going to start our President's Debate now. So, thank you everyone for coming. We are having the candidates in alphabetical order: Denise Morrison, Matthew Babb, Michał Laris, and Shiva Jane Abazman. William Murch is a candidate as well, but currently not present. And so what we are doing now is we are having 5 questions prepared, which every candidate is able to be answering as well as debating on after they have each received a 1-minute introduction to themselves, which they will be having now. And we are starting with Denise Morrison. Your 1 minute.
Hi everyone, I'm Denise Morrison. I'm your candidate from the School of Social Sciences and Profession. And I'm here today to basically introduce myself and just give you a brief background of what I'm planning on doing. So basically I'm planning on offering help and support for our mature students in regards to childcare, and also looking at how best we can have a system in place in regards to plagiarism and mitigating purposes being looked at in more detail. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you very much, Denise. And we're moving on to the next debater, which is Pat.
Hi everyone, my name is Matthew Babb. I am a former full-time officer for the Global School of Business and Law School of Human Sciences. I'm currently an international student finishing my final year in biochemistry, and I want to stand to be the president. My slogan currently is "Your number one matters," and the reason why I say that is because all of the lovely candidates that we actually do have here are standing for really great causes, but at the end of the day, what matters to you is the most important. So I advise everyone to basically vote for what matters to them. I want to stand for changing the facilities that we actually currently have to have better student facilities so we can achieve our goals. I also want to actually increase engagement in the student union. I think since the pandemic we haven't had much engagement, and a lot more. So I advise you guys, read my manifesto, check me out. My name is Matt.
Thank you very much, Matt. And now we are coming to our 3rd candidate, which is Michał.
Yeah. Hi guys, my name is Michał. I'm a first year student at UNED. I study architecture. Yeah, my slogan is "Let's create together." And as a student union president, I want to focus on 4 bullet points. The first one is just to create more events after this coronavirus period. So that could be a really good thing for us. Second thing, which is also has a great impact, is just to establish a cooperation with the universities. So then I think we can create more events together and include more societies. And also, what is key, I'm gonna to fight for the reassessment rules. So if you wanna rewrite your homework, let's say, it shouldn't be only 40%, which is very important for us. Yeah, so let's create together and check my manifesto if you want to get more details.
Thank you very much, Michał. And we are coming to the 4th candidate, which is Shiva Jane.
Hello everyone, my name is Shiva Jane. I'm a graduate MBA student. Well, my manifesto, my aims are about increasing cap mark from 40% to 55%, inclusive timetables and the LMU software. It's been a problem for a very long time. And enabling,
Thank you very much. William Merck is not present at the moment, so unfortunately we won't hear his introduction. However, you can read all manifestos of all candidates on the SU election webpage. We are now coming to the 5 questions, and for technicality, for each of the 5 questions we have a 10-minute time allotted to them. And if you please raise your hand if you would like to say something and wait for my permission. The first question is, the Students' Union President is responsible for supporting and leading the elected officer team. How would you approach leading a team of officers?
Okay, so can I? Yeah, firstly, thank you very much for this question. I think it's actually a very key point. And how can I encourage them? So, if I would encourage them, I want to just have a look more like on the whole structure and any particular section of these people, and like a good point to really encourage and make our job better. I think we could more socialize these particular parts. Maybe we could even do some more things after work, after working hours. So then, if we could establish better relation between us, it could have also a positive impact on our work. Yeah, which could increase the productivity and other stuff like that, which could be crucial, by the way. Yes, that's my idea. Yeah.
Thank you very much. One of the other candidates, please.
I'll go next, thank you. For me, being a president is very crucial because you're now in a position to actually lead. And, I'll have 3 officers. And for me to lead, I have to know who my team is. And getting to know my team, for me, is the most important thing, knowing what they like, dislike, and trying to work a balance between each candidate or each officer. And how I would plan to do that is have regular interaction with my officers, as well as thinking of ideas of how we can interact with both campuses. And when I say both campuses, I'm talking about the Aldgate campus as well as this one. And one of the things that I am planning on doing with all officers is have at least 5 times per month. And that can be, when I say 5 times, having interaction with the Aldgate branch. Because over the years, I know that the Aldgate branch students have not had that interaction. Some of them don't even know who the president is or know who each officer is. So I'm planning on, revamping that, knowing how we can collaborate together as a team, as well as the campuses, and see how best I can make sure that there's a present there for each candidate as well as myself, having regular interactions. And then we can basically just negotiate on the days that we want to go. It can be half days. So to just summarize everything is just basically having that interaction with each officer and see how best we can work together as a team. And one of my slogans is, together everyone achieves more. So it's the involvement of our team, not just myself.
Thank you very much.
I can go next. I would first go and see what are the other student officers' rules and their tasks, and then I will take it from them. If I get elected, of course I have to, start planning the projects, my aim, and I try to prioritize and then categorize and then delegate the responsibility to the officers, and from there identify their weaknesses and strengths. And if there is lack of something, it could maybe the student, if they could afford it, to initiate training for the student officers to enhance their skills, which they could add on their CVs.
Thank you very much. So,
Hi again, everyone. So, I think leadership, I said this before, you have to be a visionary to lead. You need to have a view of what the actual organization is. You need to understand its structure. And to do that, you need to spend time engaging in every single aspect of it. When I was elected in 2020, I had looked at the officer structure at that point, and I wasn't too happy with it. So I'm very, very happy that it has changed now, and that we're moving to vice presidents for different remits rather than vice presidents of schools. It gives more focus on what actually each officer does and actually communicates a lot more to the students as well. And with that idea of understanding what each officer does in each role, it's a lot easier for us to actually, at least I think so, to start working together based on what the actual organization mission is. Because a lot of people don't actually know that as a student union, you have a strategy. You actually have a list of aim and things that you actually want to achieve, which is already exists prior to any officer being elected. So my first thing would be to get every officer up to speed on what that mission is, and then looking at their aims and how they can actually tie their aims into the strategy for the union. And then also finding time to actually sit down, discuss any issues that they're actually having in adjusting to the new role, because it would be a new role for them. Looking at avenues for support and training in different areas that they feel that they need training in. And that's kind of how I would begin to actually approach working as a leader, and then still looking at the structure and see what we could actually change. Because as a union, we still need to listen to our student body to figure out, are we doing the best job? So as it has changed in the past and as of recent, it could still change in the future, and hopefully the change would be for the best for all students.
Thank you very much. The floor is open if you would like to comment on each other's points made.
Yeah, in regards to a speech of my colleagues, I wanted to say that definitely we should have a look on like individual parts of a student union and student society. Basically, I mean like do a really deep research, because everyone's different. So everyone, I can summarize, would have different problems in a particular things. But I think Dennis mentioned about a very important thing about the two campuses. And I'm a full-time student, full-time architecture in Allgate, and I really feel that in Allgate, it could be a main issue with this thing. So I strongly believe if we could a little bit increase it, especially in that our smaller campus in Allgate and Calcutta, that could make for us a huge change, because then people could feel really a part of student union and could really support us. And if people feel supported, then can see, okay, that somebody really wants to care about it, the leader is empathetic, which is a key for it, yeah. So that would be definitely a good point, and yeah, and I agree with them. So yeah, so that's all.
Yes.
I just want to add to what Michal actually said. I've been a member of London since 2017. Allgate has always had its own specific structure, specific culture, specific vibe. At one point, we actually had an officer for that specific school, and then we changed again. Like it was a change in the structure of the organization. So you found that where we had an officer specifically with Allgate in mind, it didn't really translate as well as things changed. What I would then do, I would then go to Allgate and I'll spend a lot of time there, because what I want to actually figure out from the students is how much of a political engagement they actually have there, and how many things they actually want to get changed. If it's possible to introduce a brand new officer for that particular school, I would love to explore that. If it's possible to do anything to actually change it, I would love to explore that. I think we definitely need more of a president of the SU in Allgate, and I think it starts with the space that we currently have there. But those are some things that I have in mind moving forward.
Thank you. Denise was first, and then I'll go to you.
In regards to having like a presence at Allgate, for me as a president, when I become the president, I will definitely be there. Because what my plans are is, for example, as I said, each officer would have like a rota where they are supposed to be at Allgate at least 5 times per week. 5 times per month, 5 times per month, but they can structure that according to their workload and how best. It can be half days, can be 1 day, it all depends. And for myself, being the president, I'll actually be there full day, because I want to create that presence that the president is there, the Aldgate students will know that I'm their president. I'll do regular, interactions with them, have meetings to meet the president and stuff like that. So definitely that is one of my priorities with that particular campus. So it's something that I'll definitely be prioritizing, just to have that presence and for all of us as a team to be there.
Thank you very much, Louise. And for the final part.
Yeah, I was wondering if the question you asked is focusing on the leadership or is focusing on the aims?
It's focusing on the approach of how you would lead the officers.
The officers is nothing to do with the other campuses, isn't it? So it's basically our answers should focus on how we're going to lead the officers. So that's what I will show.
But
Final
then,
finish up, please.
yeah, but remember that even though you're going to lead the other officers, you have to remember you have to incorporate the different campuses and how you're going to lead. Do you see what I'm saying?
I understand, but the question is focused on the team, student officers.
So that's why I said, in my presentation, the officers will actually be there. So we have dialogue regularly, how to incorporate the two campuses and how best we can move forward. Does that make
Thank you very much. With that, the 10 minutes time for the first question is up, and thank you for engaging in this debate and making it very lively. We are coming to the next question, which is, if the university, so our London Metropolitan, decided to do something you were against, how would you approach it, and what would you do about it? Matthew, yes, please.
It depends on where along the line we are in decision making. My first question would be, has there been student consultancy in regards to that decision? If there hasn't been student consultancy, then we have all kind of worms that we actually have to, sort through. Because at the end of the day, the decisions that the university makes actually impact the students first. So in that sense, I would, consult with the members of staff involved, ask why there wasn't any student consultancy, see if there was a legitimate reason for it. Sometimes these things are time sensitive, so I would approach it in that way first, and then I then look to see from my office team, so your execs, basically student council, see what the feel is for the change. My personal, feelings about the change doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I'm the president, I'm expected to lead, but I can't lead without actually having the information that makes sense. So to have the information that makes sense, I need to reach out to the wider student body to actually source out how they actually feel about the change and then move forward from there. So it doesn't really stop at me. Yes, I'm the president, but I'm here to, stomp around and throw my weight around at every single move that the university makes. The university does have an intention to actually keep students' well-being in mind. You can actually find out a lot about that in the annual report that they do and the strategic report that they do. So even if I'm not happy about it, my first goal would then be to figure out was there student consultancy, if I had an issue, and then finally consult the students to see what they felt about it if there wasn't.
Thank you so much. I had another hand raised. You would like to go first? Or- Then, because I think Denise raised the hand first, then I would take Denise first.
Okay, thank you. Well, could you just repeat the question?
Of course. So, if the university decided to do something you were against, how would you approach it and what would you do about it?
Okay, thank you. First of all, there is an agreement which is called the Student Partnership Agreement. And that agreement entails the student union, and the university. There is a consultation process which everybody, including myself, all the students, everybody's consulted on about certain or major decision making. So even if there's a particular situation or a particular problem, whatever it is, we as a student body, we as a university, we do communicate with the university in regards to that particular situation. My approach is to have dialogue. There's always going to be disagreement. There's always going to be somebody might have something else to say. It doesn't matter. How can we reach a middle ground? How can we agree or disagree to agree? Something like that. So for me, even if I don't agree with it, at least see where we can meet in the middle and come to an agreement in the middle. So that is my approach to, having that dialogue with the university and the student body. And then depending on what the outcome is, then that can definitely go towards, relaying that information to the students, so at least I can actually get a feedback, so I can go back to the SLT and have a proper discussion. So at the end of the day, it's not just you're just making a decision or you don't agree, but there has to be a middle ground. And the student partnership agreement will definitely hold the university accountable. Thank you.
Do we have other points here?
Yeah.
Well, if there's something that I am not against, there's probably a risk to the students, a student union and London Metropolitan University. So what I will do, I will follow the project management method. I will raise an issue that there is a risk around this decision. I will identify the risk. I will share the hypotheses, and I will examine them, and I will send them to them. I first study it myself, analyze it myself, to see if it's like maybe what they're doing is viable. If it's not viable, so that's something I can do. As well as I need to check if by the student by law, my law allows me to get involved in that situation, because there are certain things that a student union can't get involved in the university academic education. These kind of things you can't get involved.
Thank you. Just for a note, because it is a live recording, if we could all try to speak up so everyone can hear what your points of views are. Then I have Michael first, and then Dennis.
Yeah, so to begin with, as you probably know, one of my manifesto slogan is, if I don't win, I'm more than happy to use the other ideas, and if the others don't win, I will use their ideas for sure. Which, very briefly means that I really want to focus on the nation, on the whole group. And if it comes to this particular thing, I think a key bullet point is to really deep investigate the problem. Because personal feeling, my feeling about it could be really different on somebody else, independently, let's say, of financial position or background. Let's give an example. It could be something which is good for university in general, but everybody could not feel comfortable with it. Let's say it could be collecting money for somebody who really needs help, and somebody can give an example that plenty of people don't have money, so they can support what is necessary. So, firstly, we really should investigate the problem. If it's including every student, or if it's just a particular group of students. And another step of research will be good to just give people voice, to any survey, questionnaire, talk with them, and then realize where the problem is. If it comes to my personal feeling and stuff like that, I really don't mind about this work, because 99% of it could be my personal decision, because I'm always some kind of person who comes from and stuff like that. So the most certain thing for me will be just to really deep investigate, and especially ask everybody in 2 campuses, not only, and then after a deep read we can do something, because the answer will be much easier to find after the whole process. Yeah?
Thank you very much. Denise?
Thank you. And I'll just go back when you asked a question about, we don't agree if something is happening with the university or they have something they want implemented, we don't agree. Because we are actually at a point at the university now where students are actually co-creators and co-designers of a lot of high decisions that are normally, you would say, the senior leadership make. But because we're on different boards or committees, myself and, Matty will tell you, we're actually there as students to, basically we're there to actually put in our input on those decisions. So those are, we're not excluded. So students are actually being consulted by us being represented on those key committees. So in regards, as I said to you before, it's not like we are not consulted, we're actually there as representation of the entire student body.
Thank you very much, Denise, and for one of the final comments. Matthew, please.
And I don't want it to sound like I'm disagreeing entirely, because I'm not. I'm not disagreeing entirely. I was one of the students, or one of the officers, rather, what I should say, that was a part of the student partnership agreement. So that agreement came in last year. In the short space of time that we've had with the student partnership agreement and now, not all of the changes have been made as swiftly as they need to be to actually involve students as much as possible. So what actually needs to happen is we need to, as a union, work together to create the culture for the university, to keep that going. It goes both ways. It still goes in the way that us as a union, understanding, telling students what the student partnership agreement is about, letting them know that it exists, letting them know that there's opportunities for them to participate. I know that the current president and Denise, they also they work together to basically put to create 2 new roles for, I believe it is the auditing committee, and I forgot the other committee within the Board of Governors, the financing committee, I think it is. So we actually find that there's now students getting into these roles now, but they're not there yet. And we need to actually still look at it and create these new roles to get students more involved. So that's just my opinion on it.
Thank you very much, Matthew.
I-
Go very, very short, please.
Quick, I just like to correct you, Matthew, is that I'm actually on that committee, and I'm being a student / graduate, that's how I get involved. So even though, remember that you were previous officer, so because you're not having that intimate interaction with what goes on at the university, I think we're actually making changes, we're actually going places with the university. For example, I'll give you a quick one. In regards to making sure that the right candidates, for example, the lecturers are employed, I'm actually on that interview panel to make sure whoever is coming in shares that, that ethos of being a family and making sure that they are relating to the demographics of Londonmed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And with that, the time is up for the second question, and we're moving on to the third one, which draws upon what you have already said earlier in question 1 and just in the recent question, because it is going to be about what strategies would you use to develop and maintain good teamwork with your fellow officers and staff members. Yes, please.
Well, with the strategies, it's first, you can come up with many strategies. It is just I need to meet the need and then come up with a strategy that it suits them, create a competitive advantage between the team, SU and the LMU. So I will follow that strategy. And I normally after innovation is strategies. Without a strategy, I think that's like you just come up with ideas and you don't know how to achieve them. So one of the strategies I would like to apply is it's called triple helix innovation model, that you can get involved academia, you can get involved university, SU, and the government as well as for example anything you want to do. This is one of the innovation strategies. So then I have to read first. I have to see what are my roles, what exactly I'm going to do, and I will come up with a strategy.
Thank you very much. Denise, you would like to add something?
Yes, please, thank you. Would you repeat the question, please?
Of course. So what strategies would you use to develop and maintain good teamwork with your fellow officer, team, and staff members?
Okay. For me, a good strategy is basically having that dialogue with the team on a regular basis, where honesty, integrity, And being a good team player is the key to having that harmony in the department. And one of them that I would definitely do, or which we're actually doing at the moment with this present team of officer, is making sure that we express ourselves and basically talk about whatever difficulties, keeping that floor open where we can have discussion. It doesn't matter what it is. For example, if I might do something that my president isn't, you know, I might offend her, we have that space where we are free to communicate and basically resolve that there is no animosity. Because when there's animosity, there is nothing works. And I want to make sure that all my officers, myself and the executive team work together and just be honest with each other and respect each other. So it's just a how to put that.
Thank you. Mihal, would you like to?
Yeah, can I? Yeah, so to refer to the previous speeches, I just want to say that definitely there are good ideas that I could agree, but in reference to, let's say, including the government or stuff like that, I think we should firstly make sure that it could work for us and could guarantee you it will be a good structure. As I can tell you from my experience from different places, when I used to work in different companies, I think that the best thing which is like quite kind of simple and really works is just to make a good relationship with people and just really find out what are their needs. Because like I will be very honest with you, but if somebody just come to work and just do his stuff and come to home, it really doesn't make any sense. Like I feel that everybody should be a part of it and do this work with a smile and keeping a high spirit in the meantime. So I think if we really focus on people, just what are their needs, really make strong relationship with their maybe events and other ideas like that could be really valuable for us. I mean that really meet with who we work with. Because if the people become our friends, like almost like the family members, and the work could go very smooth, which would be like one of the most productive things for us. Yeah, and any other plan like this one, which is actually another one, if we include government. Actually, it's a good one. I can guarantee you that it's very interesting strategy, but only it could work if you really need. It's the same like with your market. If you know your market, then you are in a really good position to make a next step. But if you don't know your market, don't know your colleagues and stuff like that, it really doesn't make any sense to do that because it's quite a huge step to make like this part of it. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah, you know, and I said that was an example of an innovation strategy because I said I have to confront them and then I can come up with a strategy. Like one of the biggest strategies is do a strategy, you can do it with everything. But with the strategies, it always changes. Even if you don't change it, it will change by itself. So that's the reality, that's what I stated at the beginning. You know, even you come up with one strategy, it's working for that period of time, and you just leave it to stay there. The strategy will change by itself. So you always have to apply different strategies. That's why I would apply innovation. And if I said academia and government, that was an example. But when it comes to innovation, you can change things.
Thank you very much.
So I kind of mentioned some of the things that I would love to work on with the officers on before. I mentioned wanting to basically look at each of their manifestos, see what they want to do, things like that. But I think it's really important for us to actually have an understanding together and create that together about how we want to actually work as a team. I could say certain things that is expected of me because I think as each officer is coming into the new role, what I would expect from them is a certain level of accountability, right? So that would be something high up on my list of what I would expect from anyone that I'm working with. So I think understanding what we all expect from each other moving forward is a good thing. I also would would like to introduce, having, constructive criticism and creating that as a part of the culture to where that if I'm saying that I don't particularly like something, I say it in a way that's, supportive, because at the end of the day, we're all working for the students' benefit, so that people's egos don't really get too involved, and to be fine with it. And to do that, I'll actually lead by example by actually, proposing some of my ideas to them and saying, what do you think about this particular idea? Do you like it? Do you don't like it? And have them absolutely criticize me, and I will be absolutely fine with it because I'm not supposed to know every single thing. I don't see myself as a person to have all the right answers at all the right times, but I look towards the students to actually figure out what it is might be best for them, to not actually find a middle ground, but to find out what's best. So, yeah.
Denise, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to just add a little bit to, in regards to the strategy. When you get to know people and get to understand their likes and dislikes, the strategy would automatically come in place because as Chevrolet said, it does change. And in the first instance, when you're an officer, you become an officer, you go through a training process. And that process actually allows the officers to get to know each other. And we set up our boundaries and all of the above. So basically what that does, what the union does, is give us that pre-prep in getting to know how to work together. And as soon as you have that and get to understand, I can give testament to this new team, we work very well together. And, animosity and all of that, no, because we deal with it from the get-go, and we work well.
Thank you very much, Denise.
Yes. In regards to the other ideas, I want to say that this kind of so for now we know that good relationship and making this research will be a key thing for us. But in regards to this type of critical thinking, which Matthew mentioned before, I think that making this kind of research to make sure that people feel comfortable, a key thing is medium is used. Because let's say with a questionnaire after the whole experience, so people prefer to just mention about key points, what was good, but it's not very honest, not like 100%. And we can also give the other example when somebody really appreciates the work, appreciates the structure and a technique which we use there. And after it, we can discuss as a group, let's say, with a coffee or just a meeting. And this kind of feedback will be much, much more valuable. And it will also support creating a good relationship and work with each other, which is a key which you mentioned before, yeah? So we can then have both included in the same time.
Thank you very much. Anyone wants to add something in the final round? Yes, Shirley.
I just have a question in my mind, when it comes to strategy, calculated strategy for the officers, but I don't know if I'm supposed to be involved in the HRM or not, because there are strategies like talent management, which I believe is applying for the employees, but it all depends on the student union's culture, and then I need to study that to see what is their routine and then follow their routines, because there's so many strategies. I'm not sure exactly what are my tasks and roles.
Right, perfect. Thank you very much. With that, also for this round, the time is up. And we are moving on to the fourth question, which is the other full-time officer roles have changed this year, moving from school-based to portfolio-based positions. How will you ensure that there is still strong representation within the students' union at a school level, meaning at GSBL, SSD, Human Sciences, and the School of Art and Architecture, as well as SCDM? Yes, no.
So, I currently look at the structure that we currently have. Again, it's all having an idea of what the current entry structure is, which I'm very up to date on, because I am still a member of student council, but I guess some people forgot that. But we moved. So, what I would then do is look at the current officers that we actually have in the schools We introduced 6 new roles for each school to actually have a representative for each school. So you actually still find that what we have going on is that there's school representatives on the committees for each committee, and as a president, I will work with those students moving forward. Because we still need to actually have that student representation. We'll still have the student rep meetings. These things will still exist. I think our students actually want to have more of a say. So to actually work with them in that capacity is still something I'm very interested in doing. It's just that I think this change is so much better because now these students can now know what the SU officers do. Before that was a very big question mark. Students had no idea about what the school of, like the Guildhall School of Business or the School of Human Sciences officer did. It just had a title. But now I think it's very clear that the VP for Education does stuff related to education, equity and welfare. It's very, very communicable, and it will be easier for students within those spaces to interact with those particular remits. So you actually will find that where there might be students who are from groups requiring as a participation, that they would actually want to integrate themselves into the ESU in different ways. They know exactly how to do that. So I think moving forward, it's actually in a better space than it was before. So that's just my particular opinion on it.
Thank you very much. The other candidates, yes, please.
Could you please repeat this question just to make sure?
Of course. So the question is about the full-time officer roles, which are the other 3 of the sabbatical officers. They have changed this year from school-based to portfolio-based positions, as Matthew just mentioned, pretty much all of them. And the question is, how will you ensure that there is still strong representation within the student union at the school level?
That's right, yeah. So, to begin with, I would like to start that any of this particular structure, like architecture, law, and business and stuff like that, they have different needs, they organize different events, and they are related to kind of different things. So that's why these particular societies could be focused on different needs and different achievements. Let's say that people from architecture, they have math society, which is just kind of interview with architects. People need ideas to create buildings, stuff like that. People from law, they need to develop themselves in a law aspect and all other skills about it. Yeah. So I think we should just have a look very, very personally on any of them. Yeah, and just to make sure that these particular parts can cooperate with each other. Yeah, do this in this way.
Thank you very much. Denise, yes, please.
Yeah.
One moment, please. Can we have silence in the audience, please? Thank you very much. Denise, please.
Yes, thank you. First things first. Obviously, because we have changed from school-based to portfolio-based, this is where the officer's job really starts. Because each officer now is dealing with approximately over 10,000 students. And when I say dealing with 10,000 students, that's the whole enrollment at London Med. However, there are different schools. So each VP would have to know do their own research, because this is where their job actually come into play, where they have to know what each school needs, still keep that connection, and making sure they're available to each school. Do their very best to make themselves present. I remember my honorable opponent said that he's still involved with his school, and he knows what's going on. Have my apology if that was offensive to you, sir, and I'll take that back. Okay, I didn't mean it in any way. Right. So basically, all I'm trying to say is each officer in regards to portfolio need to know what's going on at each school, making sure they're abreast of what is happening and the general concerns of all students as much as possible. So at the end of the day, they're actually doing their job. And remember, they're held accountable to the student council. So for me, all officers will have to do their own research and make sure we can have dialogue on that, seeing how best we can structure ourselves to make sure that we're facilitating each college or each school in general. So that is our college.
Thank you very much, Denise. Well, yes, please.
Repeat your question.
Of course, the question is, how will you ensure that there is still strong representation within the Students' Union at the school level now that the portfolio has changed from school to portfolio?
Because I mean, it is changed, it's mostly done online.
No, it basically means that until now, Denise is, as an example, the full-time officer for the School of Social Sciences and Professions. We also have the other 4 schools together, and so they are just interacting with the assigned schools. Now, it is you're focusing on one aspect like equity and welfare and opportunities and activities. Thank you very much. And how would you encourage that the schools are still represented within the Students' Union?
I think you set up a student awareness, if I got the whole thing right. I think there are so many things, available for the students, it's just that the students are not aware of them. I think we need to find a solution to make the students to become aware of them, so that's when they can, start doing something, because I know, for example, there are lots of facilities, especially from last year provided by Student Union and also the London Metropolitan University. I know from my class there were so many students who had no idea about these services and information. And I said last time, as I said last time, the issue is that the student representative, they don't get a chance to email all the students, because once they email the students about the what's going on by student unions or other, that they complain to the tutors. So I think the best way is to just first get them aware of what we do here and then take it to the next level.
Perfect, thank you very much. I have Denise first, so if you can keep it brief, and then we have Michal, but then we will keep it at that. So Denise, please.
Yeah, thank you. It's basically to have that presence. Like for example, what I do now, I go around to my different lectures, introduce myself, and tell them what we're doing at the SU and how we can support them. So it's just having that presence still, how to structure ourselves in regards to portfolio, how to structure ourselves to each school. So we still have that presence and marketing, so to speak, what the student union is actually doing. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And now Michal, what we're trying to say.
Yeah, so I think that's it's a really good point which you mentioned before, guys. But I think that making like a specific research should just find out what could make a difference. Because as you mentioned before, not any of student rep are aware of it and know about it. But I think a good way to keep it sorted is like maybe, especially just give people some training about it, but also keep it like in a small course, small structure. If you know what to do, like in a simple receipt, what to do, like kind of the task list, and prioritize thing which is the most important for any of rules, then will be much easier to sort it. Yes, so just summarize for all of them.
Thank you very much. And with that, our time is up for this question. And we will move over to the final question of this very president's debate of the 2022 SU elections. The university has recently changed its guidance on COVID safety measures in line with the government guidance, including wearing a mask on campus no longer a requirement, but rather a recommendation. Do you think all students should still have to wear masks despite all COVID restrictions in England being removed, taking, of course, in mind those with exemptions? Yes, please.
Well, as far as I know, we are about democracy, so it's up to them if they want to wear it, if they don't want to wear it. It's their, they can make a decision on that. That's it.
Thank you. Michal, yes, please.
Yeah, I strongly believe that this truly depends on particular thing, and we should have a look on a very wide side. Because as far as we know, I think that most of people, all of them, as far as I know, are vaccinated and stuff like that. And it really depends how we use this stuff. Obviously, as we know, it's a key point to feel safe, comfortable, because everyone wants to go to the university, anyone wants to have normal studying. Like in many cases, it's impossible to study online. Let's say people from fine art, it's impossible to do like any other course online. So that's a definitely very important thing. But what I'm going to mention is also, as far as I know, right now not everyone wear a mask, not many people, but still some people feel not 100% safe. So, and even then, if I don't have a mask, I just prefer to wear a mask to make that person to feel more comfortable with it. So I think that we definitely should have a look on a whole structure, a lot of people there, and just more investigate it. But like a very, very interesting thing and key thing, which I'm not afraid to mention about it, is like excerpt of wearing a mask, doing tests, almost every day we're doing a test to go to study at the university. There are like any other thing which could help, but not any of them, because one day at the university I saw some kind of tool which could be helpful when somebody wants to open the door and don't really touch it. It was kind of pointless and useless, because even then a lot of people don't use it at all. So I think we should avoid using ideas like that, because it's also related to plastic. Yeah, but if it comes to this coronavirus stuff and ideas for it, definitely we should have a look on all people, because it's very difficult to focus on 80% and 20% who is afraid to wear a mask will feel unsure. We should like find something in between. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We have Matthew first.
So really quickly, I don't know if I'm projecting my voice loud enough. What I would like to say in regards to the university's change in policy, I think it definitely does reflect where the government is at with it. But they still are recommending that you wear a mask. They still recommending that you do tests on a regular basis, because they're still giving out stickers and things like that, so you can actually get those things. I agree with those stances simply because the demographic of our university are just like over 60% material students, plus a lot of them are from BAME backgrounds. I think during the pandemic, quite a lot of the BAME community was actually affected by it. And when you actually start looking at students who might be at risk for different health conditions and things like that, you want to actually have a campus that's promoting health and like well-being. And if we're looking at promoting health and well-being, we should be taking as much opportunities to encourage students to do that as possible. My understanding of the current government regulations is that if you have COVID, cool, you can come and leave and go as you please. It doesn't seem to say that you have to stay home, because it's not mandatory to do so, and the government is leaving it up to people's I guess opinion on what the current state is. So that's a bit strange for me. I don't think the pandemic is over. There's so many different variants every day. Sometimes they say it's more contagious, and they keep saying it gets more contagious and more contagious. I'm a biochemist. I understand certain aspects about how these viruses mutate and things like that, and it's scary. It's a scary thing to think about. So I think, for the most part, I think yes, you should take a stance and still encourage students to get tested, report if you have COVID, and try to basically wear a mask as much as possible and be considerate for the people around you. That's my particular take on it.
Thank you very much. Denise, please.
Yeah, even though it's not mandatory anymore to wear a mask or to get tested, we have to think about how best as a union we can encourage. The key word is encourage. You can't just, because it's not government mandatory, just encourage. You're doing your part. The government is actually trying to let people understand it's something that you have to live with. And they're trying to let us go back to normality. Even though majority or maybe 80% of people have been vaccinated or get their jab, it's something that we have to live with. And when I say live with it, you just have to get used to it, understand some people might not want to wear it, but at the same time, it's all about you as an individual. What am I going to do? And for me, it's best to think about yourself in regards to how am I going to protect myself and do the same for others. And if everybody thinks that way, eventually you'll have people, doing what's best in the long run. So this is for me, I'm just here to encourage people to do their regular testing, wear their mask if they want to. But obviously it's not mandatory and I have to give people their freedom to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other?
Yeah, actually,
Yes.
when it comes to this coronavirus ideas and stuff which was mentioned here, I think we should also focus on that, not only on the health aspect, which obviously this is a key aspect because we need to focus on it, but also how people's behavior has changed during this time. Because let's say we have people from many different countries, all of the continents, and it's very easy to understand that countries which were more damaged by the coronavirus aspect, I mean health problems, but also market problems, and people which come from this part of the world, their behavior is definitely different to somebody is from a very safe place which only heard about the coronavirus on this stuff. So that's why we should definitely have a look on it in this way, and also not only obviously focus that everybody can feel sure and comfortable with it from a health side, but also from this side to people to ensure people that there is no any doubt to make a next step, even if it's not 100% safe in the world right now. So that's my point.
Thank you very much. Are there any other points to this question? If there are not, then as we are having time left, just about 2 minutes, I will allow one more question, and this is to each individual of you. What do you like the least of each other's manifest? In a brief sentence. Yes, please.
Well, I had to dig in your manifestos, and then the issue that I identify is there were plans, but it doesn't explain, how you're going to achieve your aims. And the other thing is, one of the manifestos was, the issue was that it's not possible because academically we did not involve in the university academic matters as the bylaws. The other one was like, I was wondering how these legal students need, is that what they really need? And that's the thing.
Thank you very much. We're going over to Denise.
Well, for me,
In a
to
short
be
statement.
honest, I tend not to look that way. What I don't like, I focus on what I'm presenting and let each candidate do the same. So I've not looked on it like that, honestly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Michal?
Yeah, first, thank you very much for this question. I think it's my favorite question. It's a very good one. But it's easy way to catch who read manifesto, who doesn't. But if compared to the other answers, I'm also gonna say that yeah, it's a good point to focus on my manifesto and things which I'm able to achieve it. But like a key thing which I realized, by the way, guys, your manifesto was really wonderful and I really enjoyed it. And I much appreciate that I had a chance to read it. But I also realized that any of people, there are no people who focus on themselves, everybody, the needs of the whole student union, everyone focus on the needs. But there was like a lot of things, what we can do, what we should do, how we should do this, but there wasn't like very quick solution how we should do this, how students could support it, which obviously, which is a key point, yeah? So, yeah, I think everybody of us keep it in mind, but it was that tricky thing which which is actually the best part of the manifesto, and is the best thing to give it to the audience, because then audience, even if somebody is not interested so much and not engaged in Sweden, that person, okay, I know what I can do, I know how I could support it, I know how I could be engaged. So now let's do this together. We can cooperate as a
Thank you very much. And for the final short statement, Matthew, please.
Okay, I'll try to keep it short and concise. I've read everybody's manifestos. I don't consider these people just to be my competition, but also my peers. If there's good ideas from their manifestos, I'm going to take it and use it if I'm president. That's basically, I just want to work for the best for students, quite simply. A couple of things that I was very kind of confused about in people's manifestos was talking about the 40% cap. I wanted to change that. I know current work is going on with that. Denise actually would be able to speak to that in regards to the 40% cap and removal of that cap. So I think it just kind of showed a lack of awareness of what currently was going on. But I think otherwise, like, there was quite a lot of good things, and I think most of us are just here to actually, be, here for students' benefits. So if you ask me what I least like, it's just a lack of not knowing actually what's going on and how they can answer that conversation. And I think there wasn't too much of a, looking from students' perspective, because I did try to, ask some people what they thought about, my manifesto and try to change it based on their opinion. So, yeah.
Thank you very much for your statements. There won't be any rebuttals here. As we have no taken all questions in order, so we are now going towards the candidate's closing statement, where you each have 1 minute, and in this closing statement you are permitted to use and mention any social media handles, as well as to encourage the electorates. So, and you will go in the, since we just had the reverse alphabetical order, so we will go with the alphabetical order again. So this will be Denise, please.
Okay.
You have a minute from now.
Well, my closing statement is thank you guys for having me. Thank you for electing me as your next president. I am here to help. I am the voice for all, and I'm willing to listen to whatever students have to say. They know where to contact me, denise.morrison@londonmet.ac.uk. I'm available on Instagram, Denise Harvey 2010. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Denise. We are moving on to the next candidate, Matthew Dow, also 1 minute.
1 minute, I'll keep it concise. I just want to say quickly thank you to everybody supporting me, everybody, saying that they're going to vote for me. I've really talked to quite a few really amazing students during the campaign process. I listened to what they had to say, and I appreciate their support. Some disagree with what I'm proposing, some want to know more information, and that's always a good thing. So I think I wanted to say thank you. If you vote for me, thank you. If you vote for my peers, thank you. I think all of the interaction that we actually have within the union is a great thing. And yeah, I would love to be a president. Vote Matt for #1. That's it.
Thank you very much, Matt. And we go over to Michael Leris.
Yeah, so lovely people. Firstly, thank you very much for being here so focused and listening all this stuff. For my voters and not only students in general, I want to guarantee that I will do I'm not the best, but I will do my best to make like a whole student union happy to make them that they feel comfortable with it. What I can recommend to just check out my portfolio, but please feel free to give me any feedback, any advices. If it's even not pretty related to union stuff, you are still very welcome, even to talk to me during the breaks, and do think that you are more than welcome. Yeah, so I just want to also guarantee you that I'm more than happy to any other advices, more than happy to cooperate with other candidates, and with you guys. So I'm really looking forward to see you again, and I really counting on your votes. Yeah, so stay tuned and let's do it together, vote for me now.
Thank you very much. And for the final statement, Shiva Jane Adasman.
Yeah, I just want to say, remember that a president has only 1 year to achieve the goals. And when I was going through the candidate tax and the candidate house, they asked us to only mention 3 ones that I thought, because I'm a student trustee, I thought I had the opportunity to see and, listen the students' problems. So I basically try to not base things on bias because at the end of the day, it's about the students, it's about the student union, it's about the London Metropolitan University. If London Metropolitan University becomes a big name, it's going to affect anybody who has studied even in the last 20 years in this university. So it's about branding the university. All the wages going to go up. We get into a good thing. So it's much, much more serious than about just me. It's about lots of people's lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And with this, we are coming to a close of the President's debate in the Students' Union Leaders Election in 2022. Thank you very much for tuning in, for watching the live stream, which you can watch again on our YouTube channel at any time. You can listen to what our candidates have to say over and over again, but you can also find more information on the elections webpage at londonmetsu.org.uk/elections, where you find all manifestos of the President's candidate and all other candidates for the other positions. As lastly to mention, thank you for your patience and remember to cast your ballot. You can do so from tomorrow, 9 a.m. on Tuesday the 1st of March until the 4th of March, which is the Friday, until 12 p.m. Your vote matters, go voting, it counts. Thank you very much. I'm Timo Holterpels and I have been the chair. Thank you.